Hello, everybody, and welcome back to In the Vault. I'm here with Jackie Bonowitz and Ryan Parmenter. So we're gonna start off with some NFL. The first game we're gonna talk about is Packers at 49ers. So you guys have any opening thoughts?
I mean, really, the one thing that I can take away from this game is what Matt LaFleur said about his kicker. Every time he's up there, I pray.
I mean, he's a rookie, but he has a huge leg. That guy's massive. But I don't. You can't pin that loss on. I hate when people do that. I hate when people pin the loss on one guy because there were so many opportunities they had in that game to seal the victory, especially up 21-17 in the fourth quarter. They could have easily put that game away. But I mean, you got to give credit to San Francisco, to Shanahan to come back in that game and the game plan they had in the fourth quarter. Jack.
My question is that they were down 21-17. I know they won, but does it hinder your predictions going forward? Or
Not really.
Not
but-
really,
but
because
just because I mean, clearly Purdy struggled with the rain because I know it was raining at the beginning of the game, especially in the first half. I know I don't want to make excuses for weather, but like he had a glove on his hand, so it was definitely like a different scenario for him. But it doesn't really hinder my thought process with them because they still have the same talent. But there is something that does hinder my thought process of the game going forward. But we'll talk about that later. So, Palm, what were
in
you
all
gonna say?
honesty, I think what really made the 49ers struggle, because defense is not that bad. I think what really made the offense struggle was the fact that Debo was out for a majority of the game,
I mean,
and Debo is such a key part of that offense, just as a distraction alone for McCaffrey
that's
and
what I was
Kittle
gonna say.
and Ayuk.
Because you look at when he got hurt in that Cleveland game, they lost that game. They lost to the Vikings on the road, and then they lost to the Bengals at home. And that was their worst stretch of the season where people were kind of looking down on San Francisco as a
And those were the only-
legitimate contender this
And
year.
those were their only 3 losses.
And then they
this
go
entire
on to
season.
win every game for the rest of the season and get the 1 seed. So, from the Packers standpoint, do you guys have any takeaways from this game?
I mean, not really. Besides the questionable decision of Jordan Love throwing that game-ending interception.
You never go across your body like that to the middle of the field to
Not to
the
mention,
best linebacker core in the
not
league.
to mention, it's also first and 10 with
He
a
could've
minute
just-
with a minute 47 left, and you have 3 timeouts. You can take the check down and go for the first down.
Or he could have just, I mean, you see all the open grass. He could have just ran 10, 15 yards and
yeah,
gotten out of bounds for that.
because San Francisco was defending the Hail Mary. They weren't defending an actual shorter intermediate pass. Love could have gone for maybe
I know Love is the
8
most mobile
9
quarterback,
yards.
but anyone could, I mean, the space, he could have gone for 10 yards and gotten out of bounds. So, I mean, I like the way the Packers defense played. I mean, they were clearly successful in stopping the pass for the majority of the game, except for that Kittle touchdown. But, I mean, obviously they struggled to defend McCaffrey. He averaged something like 7.8 yards per carry. I mean, that's just kind of, I mean, I know he's the best running back in the game, but that's definitely what their focal point should have been going into this game.
5.8 yards per
5.8,
carry.
yeah. I think he had 98 rushing yards or something like that, which is, I mean, you could try to take him away, but the San Francisco's offense is just so many guys that you can't really. Whoever you take away someone else, they're just gonna beat you with someone else.
So, for the Packers standpoint, are you I don't want to say proud, but are you did they exceed your expectations?
No, yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
this
I
is
think people.
this is a team that no one, like the Texans, no one thought was going to make in the playoffs, much less even, win a playoff game, especially with 2 full first-year starters. Love obviously getting a couple starts here and there in his time behind Rodgers. I mean, and Love really struggled earlier in the year,
The
but
first 5 or 6 games.
first 5 or 6 games
yeah.
he really struggled,
Yeah.
but then towards the second half of the season, I mean, he really picked it up. I mean, he did better than what Rodgers did in his rookie season, threw more touchdowns, threw for more yards,
I mean,
less interceptions.
If it weren't for Stroud, I mean, he was very. You could make a case for him being offensive rookie of the year.
He can't be offensive. It's not like the
No,
NBA.
yeah,
It's
you're
not like the
right.
NBA
Yeah.
where if you don't
Yeah.
play,
He did
you're
play
not
a few
rookie.
games behind Rodgers, I believe.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think-
anyway, it's really impressive for him this year because I don't like Parm said there a lot of they had low expectations going into this year, but the Packers, I mean, both those teams lost to the 1 seed in their respective divisions, but I think they both put up a good fight. I know the Texans lost by 24. We'll get to that later, but the Packers winning into the fourth quarter, there's a lot of positive things they could take away going into next year. So, right, we're gonna move on to Bucks at Lions. Parm, do you have any thoughts about this?
I just want to know, what was Todd Bowles thinking? I mean,
I like Todd Bowles as a coach.
no, I know,
but-
no.
yeah.
What? No, I think I think we all
Yeah,
know what's
yeah.
coming here. But why didn't he call a timeout so sorry, what's it called? So the Lions could kick a semi-long field goal, and if they miss it, the Buccaneers had very good field position to, drive down to the field. Obviously, it's very hard with no timeouts to do that, but I mean, why not give it a chance, man?
Yeah.
Just why let your season end like that? And the quote that he said after the game really made me annoyed because he's like, why delay the inevitable? I mean, we know we're gonna lose. That's not a mentality that you want to have.
Especially
your
when you were
coach have.
tied at halftime, getting the ball come out of that. I mean, the Lions defense played well to get a few stops there, especially because at that point in the game, I was betting Bucks all the way to win that game when it was tied.
I wanted the Bucks to win.
That's ridiculous. 17-17 at halftime, getting the ball, and they somehow squandered that to lose 31-23.
I mean,
Jack, do you have any thoughts?
I think that the Bucks came in there with no I mean, they came in with no expectations against a team like the Lions, but I do think that Baker. I mean, I know the
Baker-
interception at the end, but he played.
He played well.
He played.
He played well. I mean, the first pick bounced off a receiver's hand, so I don't know
That's
if you can credit that to Baker. But I mean, the second pick, he's just trying to make a play down the field.
and
in
then
a game where they
also
have to.
tipped, and then
Mike
And that's
Evans
just a
is
good play by
ridiculous.
Derek Barnes. To
Mike
get
Evans.
He's
Mike
re-
Evans got to be the most underrated wide receiver of this generation. I mean, what? Almost eight consecutive seasons with 1,000 yards.
We'll get to that on Thursday, but I don't really know if you can credit Mike Evans for his performance this game to as much as you would against another team because the Lions.
Secondary-
Cam Sutton is literally one of the worst corners in the league. I
Hey,
mean,
man.
he gave up 227 yards to CeeDee Lamb, 181 yards to Puka Nacua, and 130 to Evans and a touchdown.
Then again, though, these
That's-
are all top 10 wide receivers,
True,
though.
true.
So he's guarding
mean,
some good wide
yeah.
receivers.
But
But that's just 227, 181.
Two,
are
yeah,
unacceptable.
227 yards is a lot of yards.
Evans is an elite receiver. He's probably in my opinion, he's a Hall of Famer. for
He's a lock for his
consistency.
belt.
Yeah,
I think what hurt them the most was when Amon-Ra started going off.
I knew that was gonna happen.
No, because
but-
they had Zion McCollum out there, which granted Amon-Ra would probably go off anyway. But they
especially when
played Zion
Jamal
Mc-
Dean got hurt.
There was a
because
lot of injuries in
he
the
was their
secondary.
he was their best tackler on defense, and he was guarding Amon-Ra, and when he got carted off, that was a huge blow to the Bucks, and that kind of ended their season right there. But I mean, the Lions' running game, Gibbs was incredible. Averaged like 8.8 yards per carry. They kind of took Montgomery out of the game because the Bucks, like notoriously Todd Bowles, they have a good rush defense, and Montgomery's style of running doesn't really fit into playing that defense. It was more Gibbs is like just going to beat them with the speed. So I kind of like the Lions' game plan, and I'm looking forward to what they bring in San Francisco.
Dean should have had one early. I felt like that would have been a big. I don't know what the score was, but I felt like that would have been a big difference if he had that. If he got that interception, kneeled down for a touchback.
And the one thing in this game that really made the difference was that 3rd and 15 where the Lions converted to St. Brown on a pass into double coverage, which was, I mean, if they have to punt there, give the ball to the Bucks in good field position, that probably changes the outcome of the game there. And that was a great throw by Goff and a great play by a really top 5 performer this postseason by anyone. So, Parm, do you want to go over the AFC now?
Before we do that, I just want to say, I never thought the Bucks would even be in contention for the
No.
division. I
You just got to credit Baker.
we look at the preseason clips. I mean, he had like a Tim Tebow throw, missing wide open wide receivers in camp, no less 5 yards away. So, the fact that they're even in the playoffs is
Definitely an
honestly
accomplishment.
it's an accomplishment,
Especially going on the road to Ford Field where
which is a notoriously
Yeah.
hard field
and
to
also
play.
where the Lions, this is like an incredible atmosphere for them because they haven't been in this situation in so long. Their fans are definitely going to be hyped.
The Bucks fired their head coach.
They fired Todd
They
Bowles?
fired Ty Bowles.
No,
Wow.
the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh.
What? That's okay.
All right. We'll
Okay,
get to that. in
we'll
the
go to that
basketball
later.
segment.
We'll get to
All
that
right,
later.
Let's go over Bills Chiefs.
Well, no, we'll go over that
Okay,
last. But
alright.
we're gonna go over
Alright.
Ravens Texans, and that was a defensive game by the Baltimore Ravens. That's not on Lamar, in my opinion. I think that's all on his defense.
You got to give some to 100 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns there.
Obviously, but
clearly the Texans. Obviously they're gonna go over film before that game. They're gonna say, "Oh yeah, we got to put a spy on him. We got to get someone to limit his rushing ability." But he just broke it up, scrambling, designed runs. Either way, he was effective in the ground game. And overall, the Ravens had something like 228 yards of rushing or something like that.
just this stat line for his passing does not move me. I mean,
No,
16 for 22.
But you look at Stroud's.
One-
It does give credit to the Ravens defense. 175 yards, no touchdowns. So
Yeah, but thing is, we're talking about
An
we're
MVP.
talking about this Ravens
offense.
good sack defense. It's 0 sacks. I mean,
Yeah.
but
And
then
0 picks.
0 picks
So,
too. I mean, which
yeah.
is impressive. And
Yeah.
the thing is,
They just played.
and the thing is, really, the only thing that's a saving grace for Lamar's passing stat line at least is those 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Because other than that, he did not do
Like
anything.
150 passing.
He had
yards?
152
Yeah,
for
yeah.
2 touchdowns and 3 sacks, and he rushed 11 rushes for 100 yards. I mean,
And 2 touchdowns.
and 2 touchdowns. This was a defensive game. I mean,
I mean, it's the
the touchdowns obviously will help,
Yeah.
but I mean,
the Ravens held the Texans' offense to 33 total yards of rushing. I think that's really what made the difference.
no,
here. Because-
in anything, in all reality, the Ravens defense held the Texans to 3 points of offense.
yeah,
'cause
and
that's-
they
'cause
didn't.
that-
They never got in the red zone.
Because
They
that
never
because
went
that
in the red zone.
touchdown was a punt return.
They never. The Texans are. They missed a field goal, and then they never got anywhere near the red zone for the rest of the game. So
I
the second
th-
half adjustments were clearly key for the Ravens because in the first half,
It
towards the
was
end of the
close.
first
It was
half,
close.
Lamar was getting they were in bad field position, and they were behind the sticks every possession because the Texans defense was really sacking Lamar on almost every time he dropped back. So I mean, credit to Harbaugh and the Ravens for making those adjustments. And I know Lamar's stat line isn't really great passing, but I mean he did what he had to do to win. So I'm happy for him getting kind of casting aside that doubt for his playoff success.
Man's never beaten a running back allegation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I mean, this is an impressive season for the Texans. I mean, everyone thought that. I mean, their predictions
It's just-
all over.
I mean,
there's
Packers, them
them and
the
Packers,
same
the
thing.
most impressive
Yeah.
teams this season. I don't care what you say. Them Packers and the Colts, because I mean,
That's why
because
D'Amico
all of the-
Ryans is
because all of
Coach of
them,
the year.
because all of them are projected to go below 500, maybe
especially
even
the
6
Texans.
and 11.
I mean, people are projecting the Texans to be
Yeah, they were projecting the Texans to not be a good team at all. But
awful.
but then, but they ended up 6 and 11. They ended up not 10 and 7.
Yeah.
I mean,
10
and the
7,
fact that they-
including a win
The
against
fact that they
Colts.
even made the playoffs is crazy. And again, like the Packers, the fact that they even won a playoff game is impressive on its own, including the
especially on the road in Dallas against the #1 offense in the league.
and especially against Cleveland, who had a fantastic
Yeah.
defense, and then Joe Flacco, comeback player of the year,
Yep.
and just come in and throw
Lamar
2
Hamlin.
picks. No, don't even get me started on that. But I mean, it just shows that the Texans are really only
They're only on the way up, especially.
they're
if
only
they
way
get
up.
Tank Dell
What they're
back.
missing, yeah. If Tank Dell was there, that game would be different.
Yep.
If Tank Dell was not injured, that game would be much different. But
Yep.
what I think that team is missing is a bit more secondary help and another running back, and I think I think they'll be set.
I mean, they're just young everywhere. You look at it, it's like secondary. I mean, they have Ward, who's kind of on the older end. They have Stingley, who's relatively on the
Young.
younger end. So yeah,
they have
they coulda-
Anderson.
Yeah, Anderson. I mean, the offensive line anchored by Tunsil, they're in a good spot there. And especially the backfield, because I think they have one of the
Damian Peterson,
yeah.
Singletary moves you.
Right.
It doesn't move me.
best. No, it doesn't move me, but I think it's enough to get. I think with Shroud, it's enough to
Yeah,
present
it's
the threat
enough.
on the
It's
passing game.
it helps with the passing game,
Yeah.
but it doesn't do enough for the run game, which is why
No.
I think they should draft a running back in this draft.
All right.
But speaking of playoffs, and I hate this so much. The fact that
We're back,
Tyler Bass, actually no, it wasn't Tyler Bass. It was Stephon Diggs. Stephon
Oh.
Diggs sold this game. He
I
dropped a wide open deep ball pass. It
Also-
was perfect,
baby.
right in his hands, and he dropped it.
Trent Sherfield also dropped, it kind of did you see when it went off the turf? That was another 40-yard play, something like that. But Diggs would have easily had a 75-yard touchdown. for that.
Listen to this stat. Stephon Diggs target since Thanksgiving, 80. Shakir target since Thanksgiving, 33. You know how many?
Look
You
at
know.
Shakir.
You know how many? You know who has more yards?
Shakir.
Shakir. I
Yeah.
mean,
Diggs has been awful. second
Diggs
half
is
of the
washed.
season.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Diggs is done.
I could see. That's why my main problem with this Buffalo team.
They've
Their old core. Their core is getting really old now. I mean, you look at some of their, Von Miller's 34.
Cut Von Miller.
35. I mean, Ed Oliver's getting old. They have
Ed Oliver's like 26.
no. He's
No,
isn't he like
Ed
31?
Ed Oliver's not that old. I don't know who you're talking about.
I mean, it might have just been the injuries that I was thinking of.
Yeah, no,
because there's been a lot of
injury.
injuries
Yeah,
on the offensive
Ed
line.
Oliver's 26.
Yeah.
They got hit by a lot of injuries,
Yeah.
and the fact
Especially
that
the linebacker core. I
oh
mean, they were missing.
yeah, they're missing.
They only had two
Matt
linebackers
Milano.
available at one point. At one point in this game, but I mean, they came back in the game as a game.
Obviously, Tre'Davious White out with torn
Yep.
Achilles.
that really hurts.
What I think the Bills should do is let Gabe Davis walk and draft another wide receiver in the
Especially
draft.
because he's the type of guy where like he and Allen don't really. I mean, they don't consistently. They go off one game and then he gets 0 targets the next game. It's
Yeah,
like,
it makes
so
no.
inconsistent.
It's like Davis has like 3 catches for 132 yards and like 2
Yeah.
touchdowns, and then doesn't get a target for the next 4 games.
Like he
I mean,
has the AFC Championship performance, and then he has a game where he has 1 catch for 9 yards.
Yeah, and
like
then
it's so up and down. And Diggs is clearly losing a step a little bit right now. I mean, their tight end core is definitely something to
Dawson
build
Knox
off
and
of
Dalton
because
Kincaid. That's one of the
probably
best.
their-
That's
I mean,
probably the
in my
best
opinion,
tight end
probably
core.
the best in the league.
Yeah.
So, what did you see from the Chiefs side in this one?
I
What allowed
saw.
them to get the win.
In all reality, I just saw Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, I
I
feel
mean, he
like
had something like 94 yards.
yeah.
I think.
I mean,
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco outside of Patrick Mahomes, obviously, is the X factor of that offense.
And that Chiefs defense, who everyone was, I mean, that was the best Chiefs. This is the best Chiefs defense
Of
that
his
they've
career.
had since Mahomes' era. But they didn't really play that well this game. I mean, especially in the first half.
Then again, though, the Chiefs defense, regardless of how good it is, never plays well against the Bills.
yeah,
like,
I
no-
mean, it's
like,
just,
no
I think
matter
it's just
what-
expect to be a shootout every time.
I mean,
think there's
I mean,
like-
every time they've played each other, I mean, it's been an instant classic in the
No,
playoffs.
yeah.
2021, 2022, 2020, 2021, this year.
Yeah, 2021 especially.
I mean, I mean
it's-
that's what changed the overtime rules in the playoffs, and
That was
Allen's
such-
0
that was probably the best game I've ever
Allen's 0-3 in overtime ever since. So,
seen. Yeah.
I mean,
I think there's got to be some big changes on the Bills front.
100%.
I mean,
I think
I don't-
McDermott should get fired.
I agree. I very much agree.
I think their offensive coordinator should become their head coach. I mean, because whatever his name,
Joe.
who
Wait, no. Who are you talking about?
the offensive coordinator that got fired.
Leslie. No.
No, it wasn't
No,
Leslie.
that wasn't Leslie. I don't know. But they definitely need to make a change. It's clear that something just hasn't been clicking with the Bills. I mean, obviously they were the hottest team coming into the playoffs, or one of the hottest.
No,
at least.
they were the
Yeah,
hottest.
the hottest, especially wins off of Chiefs, Dolphins,
And then a
that-
tough loss to the Eagles.
Yeah, and then I mean
which they should have won.
Beat up on the Cowboys at home too, but I mean clearly, you have some pieces in place, but like I said before, I feel like the core is just getting a little bit old. I mean they've been riddled by injuries in the playoffs this year, and I mean in years past.
I mean, it just seems like every year the Bills always get injured at literally the worst times
Yeah.
possible, yet they still manage to perform somehow.
I hate, like I said before with Carlson, I hate when you blame the loss on a kicker, but
I mean, it was-
even
it was a-
Bass, even Bass said he
Ba-
was quoted after this game saying he's played at Highmark Stadium enough to know that he's got to be better in that
And
situation.
the thing is, Bass is automatic from that range
Yeah.
too. But
I mean, there was
there was wind, but I don't
23 degrees
I
or
don't
something
I
like
don't
that.
think that loss is his fault. I think it's on
No,
Diggs. I
definitely.
think it's on Diggs.
Because that was, I mean,
That
you-
was a
you
perfect
can't even say
pass.
that was 60 yards in the air, right to his.
It would have been a
fingertips right there.
65-yard pass right in his hands, and he dropped
Yep.
it. That's just a bad. It's just bad,
bad
all
look.
around.
So that will.
The head coaching.
The head coaching. Yeah.
So right
Uh,
now, I mean, right now there hasn't really been much happening besides
except
the
for
except for the
McCarthy.
Titans.
Maybe the McCarthy being retained by the Cowboys.
Yeah, that
and-
was an interesting
yeah.
choice. I mean,
I mean, I don't.
I
don't.
don't
agree
I
with
don't
that.
understand that. I mean, it's a bit confusing. Brian Johnson, who is basically like the Eagles' arch
Offen-
nemesis at this
yeah.
point, was fired for good reason, by the way, because he
Offensive
absolutely
mastermind.
stunk. Callahan, Bengals' former offensive
Yeah,
coordinator,
that's-
got
he's
hired
an
by the
offensive
Titans.
master.
That's
Fine.
that's a
That's a
conf-
good hire. I
that's
like
a
that
that's a
hire.
confusing hire.
I mean, I don't.
'Cause
I don't
why-
dislike it.
But the thing is, why fire Vrabel, and then
Especially
hire
when
him
you're
as your head
gonna-
coach.
Especially
You
when
could
you're gonna lose. I mean, you're probably gonna lose some key players on the Titans. We'll get to that more as the offseason progresses. But I mean, I am kind of confused about that, but I don't dislike it
'Cause
as much as I do.
because if I was a Titans owner, what I would have done, I would have retained Vrabel, and I would have told Vrabel to go after Callahan, because ever since Arthur Smith left, I mean, he hasn't really done. There haven't really been any good offensive coordinators in Tennessee, because
no.
it's really just RPO runs and
yeah.
and just short routes.
I mean, it's just and just relying on Henry and since 2020 they've been really relying on him. And
Yeah.
I've heard him quoted just saying that he feels like he has 2 to 3 more years of 2,000-yard season left in him.
I think Henry's done. I think his days are done as running back one.
I think that might be stretching a little. I think he might.
I
knock
think he's
over
another
2,000.
season.
I think he has another
1,000-yard
quality
season.
in him.
But I mean, he's
and I think he'll be looking to go to a contender,
I mean, he's 30 years old.
such as maybe teams with running back needs.
Like
I mean,
the Bills,
like the Bills. I like
Texans.
like the Bills, like the Cowboys. The Cowboys are really the spot where I see him.
I swear to God, if Derrick
because
Henry goes in the Cowboys,
I
I'm
really
gonna
see
hate
that
this.
because I mean, this season showed that Pollard is not really fit to be
He's allergic
take
to
all the carries.
he's allergic to the end zone.
Yeah, he's way less effective when he's not in that change of pace role. So I think if you bring in Henry and you can give him 10 carries a game, then you could mix Pollard in there. The Cowboys
like
that'll
what they
be a
did with
difference
Zeke.
maker. And I think the Cowboys will be pressed to make decisions like that, especially with the people with questions about them retaining McCarthy.
And then, back to the vacant head coaches, with Bill Belichick being the favorite for Atlanta, I mean, that's a bit confusing.
Yeah,
I mean, especially 28-3. I've seen some jokes thrown out on social media like
I don't know if I would want to go there if I'm him because you don't really have
a
I mean,
quarterback.
I would look you want to go to a situation where everything's already laid out for you.
I mean, it is
which
though
is-
because they have a good defense, good young players.
Yeah,
The
but
problem
I mean,
is
they're
Desmond
missing
Ritter.
you're missing the most important piece on the team.
Problem is Desmond Ritter
And
just
they have
sucks.
a good O-line too. The
Yeah,
Falcons have a good O-line.
All the Falcons are missing is just a quarterback because Desmond Ritter is terrible.
Taylor Heineke's not the answer. I mean,
Hold on, he was
Yeah,
pretty him
okay,
last year.
Okay.
But I mean, what I mean, they have a high enough pick to where they should either trade
I
up.
saw
or
an article where they were like in the top 7 to 8 teams that are definitely going to draft a quarterback in this year's draft.
They
Yeah.
should. I mean, Desmond
Yeah.
Ritter stinks, and they're high. Their
They have a
problem
high
is
enough pick to
they have a
get
high enough pick, but their problem is they don't have a high enough pick to get a
get
good quarterback.
that
So
upper echelon.
what I think they should do is draft Bo Nix with where they're at.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Bo Nix is a decent quarterback. He's older than the other quarterbacks, and he has that experience.
College experience.
He has
The
experience
only
under his
thing that
belt.
might be worrying is that I mean I don't know if you have questions about the age and injuries that might bring in the NFL, but I don't dislike that pick if they made
The
it.
problem is though, like the question is
But if you go with someone like Penix in that situation, you're also faced with the same problems. So.
because Penix
Especially
is
with
even
injury
older
history.
and even bigger injury history. So
But any other coaching?
Chargers right now,
Situations?
Harbaugh is considered the
Harbaugh.
heavy favorite, and
Yeah.
honestly,
I don't. I like
Harbaugh
that.
with Herbert, that's honestly kind of
Harbaugh with
nasty.
Herbert, with Allen, with Mike Williams back next year, with Johnson, who he can hopefully develop. I don't think his down year was a result of just him. Not
I
being
think it's
talented.
just a
It was
confidence.
Staley.
I think it's just a confidence issue too.
Yeah.
Because you see a lot of wide receivers. They usually perform well, but I mean, once they saw Flowers and Addison performing well, I just think that really got him. And not to mention, Addison 1,000-yard receiving season.
Yeah. I
which
don't know if Eckler can be counted on it. I mean, I think
Eckler's gone after this
Yeah, I
year.
agree. I don't like Eckler as a player, but that doesn't mean he can't be good. But I also just think that he's not really going to be. I think Harbaugh will look to install a new running back there.
I mean, I think they should keep him, but get him out of the number 1 overall.
Oh, yeah.
Get him out of the
And I don't think
RB1
Joshua
role.
Kelly is the answer at number 1 either. So it definitely need to.
Because what Eckler really is really good at is his ability to be a receiving back. Because he's what best
and
receiving
the
back in
ability
the league.
to one of the best. Yeah, I would. I mean,
Who-
there's.
Okay, obviously besides the obvious answer, who would you say is better than him?
Right now, I do think Gibbs is a better receiving back than him.
I
Just-
disagree.
just by his short sample size, I think there's a few that could
I
be better.
I think
Bijan is also a good receiver as well.
I think if you give the two of them another year, I think they will eventually be better receiving back than
I think they just have a brighter. I think going into next year is like what I'm saying.
I mean, I think we all know the obvious answer for who's the best receiving back in the NFL.
No, yeah,
Christian McCaffrey,
yeah,
but,
but he's never going to become available to them, so it doesn't matter.
obviously because
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
going to stay as a
Yeah.
49er for life, which
Which works out perfectly for him because that offense he's going to be optimized in the perfect way. But
and yeah, I
any
mean,
other thoughts?
not really.
All right, so that will wrap up our segment on the NFL for In the Vault. We'll be back shortly with NBA.
welcome back to In the Vault. We got, I'm Tony Manustos with my good friend Jack here. My brother Harrison is behind the scenes right now, doing his thing. We're going to talk some basketball. So, Jack, how's it going?
It's going good.
Good. That's good to hear. So, this is news today. This is something we just found out a few hours ago. A trade. Hello? 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 In the vault. In the vault. Do you hear? In the vault. You hear me?
Yeah.
He hears me.
Not very clear.
You hear this? Better? All right, we're back. Sorry, I think somebody was trying to sabotage us or something. But all right, so there's a trade that just happened a few hours ago. It's between the Raptors and Hornets, I believe. Or what am I saying? The Heat and the Hornets. And it's going to be Kyle Lowry going to the Charlotte for Scary Terry Rozier, one of my favorite players, and a draft pick. Do you know the exact
I think
pick
it's
it
like
was?
2027 top 10 something.
2027 top 10. So we that could be anything. I mean, hopefully that would be a good pick. Jack, I want to know what do you think about this?
I think it's good. I mean, for Miami, they wanted a guard. I mean, they struck out on Dame this offseason, and they struck out on I think it was Bradley Beal. They struck out on these people, but then they ended up with Terry Rozier. As you said, he's one of your favorite players. He's not at the Dame level. We all know that. But I think that they did a pretty good job. You know, they addressed that they need another player and another scorer in the room. And
Keep it going. Keep going.
they need another scorer in the room, and that's what they got from Terry Rozier.
Yeah, no, Scary Terry, Celtics legend. Love that guy. He's been playing actually pretty good this season. And, I think it's a bit of a questionable move from Charlotte. I don't know. I mean, listen, yeah, you got that draft pick. You know, that could be good. That could be bad. We don't really know. It's so far down the line. Kyle Lowry, he's been out of his prime for a few years now. I mean, there's no denying that.
I don't think they made this trade for Kyle Lowry. They're gonna buy him out. I think.
Right.
They're gonna trade him to another team. So they were off the bench. Duncan Robinson gave him a little bit. Like he played a little bit off the dribble, a little bit more, which isn't really what you want to see. And they have Josh Richardson, so they needed another guard, which I think they'll start Terry Rozier, but I think they're not done. And I think the Charlotte Hornets are also not done. I would see the Heat going after a Bruce Brown, just sliding him at the. I think they need that shoot. So I think you're gonna have maybe Bruce Brown or Terry Rozier at the 1, and then you have the other person at the 2, and then you have Tyler Hero come off the bench. And I think that's their end goal. I mean, I don't know if they will, but coming off the bench, Tyler Hero is one of the great scorers in this league when he comes off the bench, and I think that they need to use that. But I don't think they're done. I mean, they could be if they don't want Tyler Hero off the bench. But I think that's the best way they can make their bench better. But I don't think Tyler Hero is going to play off the bench. I mean, I don't think Terry Rozier is going to play off the bench, but we'll see.
You know, I'll be honest. I think they could have gotten so much more for Terry Rozier. I mean, he's not old or anything. I mean, he's proven to be a great scorer even before he was in Charlotte. I mean, he's a hustle player. I mean, I've seen about 1 million games being a Celtics fan, about 1 million games of him playing, and he just keeps getting better in my opinion. And I think, if you're the Hornets, I think you could have just gotten a lot more pieces. You get a potentially good draft pick, Kyle Lowry.
And
do what you will with that.
This guy's under a 3-year contract, Terry Rozier. So you're not going to lose him next year. So I don't really understand the move. You didn't need to settle for that. You could have. I mean, I guess this is at his highest. He's averaging 20. Maybe you think that when LaMelo is back, like his second. I don't know. Like he's back now, like fully. maybe want to ship him away now. But I just feel like you can hold on to that. But I don't know if he will stay scoring 20. But I feel like you don't have any other option but LaMelo and Terry. And LaMelo Ball is not a guy that will just give you 30 a night. He's not that type of
Right.
point guard. Like his game is made around getting other people involved.
It's true. I mean, of course, he's capable of doing that, and he's proven that many times. But I do agree with what you're saying. Yeah, he's, two very different players.
My first thing was like
Yeah.
you're getting a knockoff version of Tyler Hero. Like
Wow.
you're getting
Wow.
Well, that's good. I think Tyler
Shots
Hero-
fired.
No, I think Tyler Hero is a good player. I think that Terry Rozier in his prime was like a kind of a Tyler Hero, but now he's not that old, but like he's like he can still give you buckets. I feel like it's the same way. I think knockoff was too harsh, but like there's Tyler Hero. He's young. He's a star in this league, and you go down there. Terry Rozier, who has the same play style, but he's like a little bit older, and he's a kind of a step down to worse. But I think this definitely helps.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, I'll tell you this. We found that news out not too long ago. This next segment that we're about to go into, this is news that we found out even sooner, literally less than 20 minutes or so before we started this. The coach of the Milwaukee Bucks has
He said, "What a disgrace." That's what Mr. Rania said. He said,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they fired their coach. Yeah, Mr. Rainio absolutely heated about this.
"Oh yeah,
Oh,
I know,
did-
I know. I heard that. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
Seton Hall
Just in
alum.
case you can't hear, he is a Seton Hall alum. Yeah, Mr. Rainio feels very, very strongly about this. I wish I could convey his emotions on the stream right now, but it's bad news. But
I'm gonna
yes.
lay the reasons down. Which again, I don't know why you fire a coach after. It's a Piston. Yo, my joke was, this is what happens when you play the Pistons close 2 times in a row, 2 games in a row. You get the. But my thing is, you fire Mike Budenholzer for no reason after he gets you a championship.
That was pretty upsetting too. I was thinking that before. That was crazy too when they fired Mike Budenholzer. Did not see that coming. Sorry.
He won them a championship. It's different than football. I feel like coaching is different than football. It's like coaching in this league. I feel like you can hold on to coaches more in the NBA. And yes, he gives up a ton of threes, Mike Budenholzer, but it's like bringing in Adrian Griffin after that. Like, are you really gonna go for a younger coach over somebody who's more experienced and gave you a championship? And you're just bringing in a new guy that's like, you don't know if Giannis will mesh well. This is a new Bucks team. Like, I guess you would say it's a new Bucks team. Maybe Mike Budenholzer it wasn't going to work, but at least ride out with him. And if you want to fire him in the deadline, at least fire him.
Right.
I feel like there's more of a, coming in as a younger coach, the best place for you to come in is as a rebuilding team where there's no pressure on you. He was thrown right into the spotlight. And we see coaches like this, like Darvin Ham. He won't get fired. His job is pretty safe, sadly. His job's safe. But I think he is, at least, when he's going to get fired.
There's no telling with the Lakers.
But I think his job's pretty safe. But he got thrown into the fire of just the Lakers. And those young coaches get thrown in the fire. I know it's not the lights of the Lakers, but the Bucks have championship aspirations. And it's hard to be a coach and be thrown into that. I just feel like it's really hard. And I just don't understand the hiring in the first place. I mean, I think that he could have went somewhere else. You already won a championship with Mike Budenholzer. I think if you're gonna go for a coach, and it was earlier. Like I feel like it was early in the year where Giannis didn't have a good relationship with him, and
It's true.
I feel like that was the kind of ending of the firing because they didn't have a good relationship with Giannis and him, and I felt like, and then they're gonna go hire Doc Rivers. Like you're not going anywhere. Like it's the same thing. Doc Rivers doesn't adjust either. So if you think Adrian Griffin doesn't adjust, then watch what you'll see from Doc Rivers. It isn't a good like I don't understand. I think it's more on the players than it is on him. They don't have a good defensive personnel, so you can't blame that on him. the Malik Beasley is their number one defender, guarding all the greatest players every single night. So you see players come in there like Jalen Brunson. Guess who's getting guarded by? Malik Beasley. Like, that just isn't something that he does well. He's a great shooter. He can play defense solidly, but he's not going to come in there and guard a play like Jalen Brunson night to night. It just isn't somebody he's going to guard.
Right.
And, the only reason I bring up Jalen Brunson is the guy he's going to play more and play against more. And he played against him 8 times, and Jalen Brunson cooked him like 8 times. It's like, I don't feel like the personnel's right. And, bringing in Dame for Drew Holiday, yes, you go offense, but then you're gonna go like, you need other defenders, and you're I think they should at least made a trade for defense before they even thought about firing him. I just don't think you're gonna have a coach come in there and magically fix that defense. I think it's gonna come from within the front office, getting other defensive players and seeing how he'll use them. So when I go back, I go, okay, Thibodeau got a defensive player in OG. I know, but how did he use him? He used him very well because he's a great defensive coach. So you got to give. You got to give those coaches a good defensive player.
Yeah.
And especially in a place like the Milwaukee Bucks, I just feel like they wanted DeJounte Murray like 2 days ago, and now they're not even like. They don't even want like.
I mean, yeah, like listen, I mean, nowadays in the NBA, I mean, I feel like every year it gets more like this. It's harder for teams to keep their coaches. I mean, some of them only last a few months, and I mean, it's sad to see, and there's really only a few coaches that are truly untouchable in their position. For example, Steve Kerr or Popovich for the Spurs. There's not really a lot else. I mean, you see it all the time now, and it's it's sad news, Mr. Radio. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but yeah. No, it's sad stuff. But I'll tell you this: a good way to make up for it will be some really exciting stuff right here. Joel Embiid, I mean, 70 points.
70.
Ridiculous. Most of us are still in shock. I mean, he had a ridiculous game, not just on the scoring end. I mean, obviously, 70 points. Not even, I think, 15 players have had that in a game in NBA history. Great passing, too, by him. Defense was good, and it was just a great game overall. I want to know what you thought about it.
I know we're talking about coaches, and we're going to go to I hate to bring up coaches who need to go after we talk about it, but Popovich, I think he's done great. He's done great.
Yeah.
But what are you running for? What's your defensive coverage here? So you double here and then you don't double again. Do you want him to get 70? Is that what you want? You're just gonna let him ISO Zach Collins on the top of the block for 48 minutes? Is that what you want? Like you're setting up Victor Wembanyama for failure. That's what you are doing.
Well, that's a whole other thing. Victor's progression. He had a good game actually yesterday, right?
Great game.
Yeah. Yeah, he was another. I mean, listen, there was so many players who had great games yesterday. I mean, you could be a rookie, have over 30 points, double-digit rebounds, and you're still not going to be brought up just because of how many good players were playing yesterday. Joel, I mean, he made history. It's really, really cool stuff. I mean, I just read this statistic before we started this live stream. In the past, I think three players in the past few seasons have had that many points. I believe it was Devin Booker.
Yeah.
Devin Booker had 70 a few years ago. It was Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, which was around that same exact time, and now Embiid. It's ridiculous. I think it's so cool. I hope this is something that seems to be a trend going in the future. I mean, with big men being able to shoot threes so well and just do anything in this positionless game.
What he did is he said, I'm going to put my mind to it. I'm going to get in the post. Popovich is not doing anything about it once I get deep post position. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get the ball, and nobody can guard me. So I'm going to do a drop step. I'm going to score. That's all he did all night long. And that's going to, you know what that is going to do? That's going to work in the playoffs as well. And that's my biggest thing. That's going to work in the playoffs. He played against one of the best defensive players in the league, in Victor Wembanyama. But Victor's ankle's not really good, so he plays on a minutes restriction. But he he got into the paint, and he got into the paint with force. And the whole entire game, he was not settling for threes. And he was reading the double teams. He's read the double teams, I think, this year the best. He's just been getting better, progressively better at reading double teams. And that's going to work in the playoffs. I don't see how it won't work. But, I mean, hopefully he's ready to go for playoff time, and hopefully he's healthy for playoff time. But if he's healthy, then I don't see that post up. I'm going to get deep post position not working in the playoffs.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this. Believe me, we're going to get back to Embiid in a second. But just another thing we got to throw out. Karl Anthony Towns dropping 60-plus last night, too. Still overshadowed by Embiid, which is just, I can't imagine dropping.
It was overshadowed because he got benched, like, when he had 60. He got benched. I mean,
right.
And you lost, like, the 11-win Hornets by him. He lost it himself. Like, you could have thought he spoiled it. Like, he could have spoiled the 62 points himself. You could have thought he would have spoiled the 62 points himself, but he didn't.
Sorry, I had to.
We are being joined by Mr. Rainio with his new haircut.
New haircut. Okay. I said before the show that I would probably make my way onto the show. I didn't talk any NFL today. That's surprising. But the Adrian Griffin thing I have to comment on.
Yes, please do.
Adrian Griffin, I admit, this is personal. It affects me. All right, as a Seton Hall alum, I bleed Seton Hall blue. I bleed Union Catholic blue as well. So Adrian Griffin, the Milwaukee Bucks are 30-13. And you're firing him in the middle of the season. He had a long, successful NBA career, played for multiple teams. I think he was in the league for like 13 years or something.
Yeah.
Long, successful, good, solid NBA player. Played at Seton Hall, right? Played at the Hall in the 90s. This just really bothers me. Okay, I think it's ridiculous no matter where he went to college. Okay, but I'm gonna say this for the audience. We got to talk college basketball soon.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do it today, except for what I'm gonna say here. Okay, Seton Hall had an NBA coach, no longer because of this horrible decision. Seton Hall has 5 Division I head coaches. Okay, 5 guys that played men's basketball at Seton Hall University are Division I head coaches. There's only one other school in the nation that has more. It's Duke. They have 6. Okay, so I'm going to say we because I'm an alum. Okay, we have 5 Division I coaches. We had an NBA coach. All right, and they've let Adrian Griffin go. Don't even get me going on the metrics, the analytics in college basketball, the net rankings. I don't know how much you guys follow that. Ken Palm, that stuff. They have Seton Hall so far down low. It's absolutely ridiculous. You look at their resume, you look at these other teams, all right? So I'm going on my rant. I'm mixing college basketball, NBA here. I'm talking Seton Hall. But coming up soon, guys, we got to talk some college basketball. There's a lot going on there. And I do want to talk about the metrics and the analytics and the big objections to that. Let's go Pirates.
You tell him. Yeah. Wow.
So much for those rules up there.
Yeah, right?
But I want to get, as he said about the Adrian Griffin fire, I want to get back.
Good luck following that, Jack.
No, but I want to get back. I was talking about Karl Anthony Towns, you know, how it was one of the most funniest nights I think we've had when he spoiled it himself. Like, he spoiled his 62 points himself. Like, no one else did it. Yes, you could say, okay, Chris Finch pulled him out when he had 60, but he tired himself out. Like, he was done. He couldn't play defense. They stubbed him out offense to defense. He was just forcing stuff up in the fourth quarter. He wanted to, like, Joel Embiid did it like in a way where it was efficient. Like, Karl Anthony Towns doesn't score efficiently. He runs into defenders, he runs into charges, or he just shoots a pick and pop 3. That's what I said about Joel Embiid. He did so efficiently. He scored in the post, and I feel like that's way more like, you know, reliable than, you know, Karl Anthony Towns pick and pop. Like, he shot it and then fell on his butt. Like, that's not reliable. And he at the end of the game, he tried to drive into like 3 people. Maybe he got fouled, but again, you know what? He might have got fouled, but he shouldn't have got the call. You know why? Because that was dumb. He drove in. He thinks that. Well, Terry Rozier got. He was on Terry Rozier, so he posted up.
Scary Terry. I
he
mean,
posted up on Terry Rozier. He thinks that if he just drives by, no one will come and help for. Like, no, they're gonna throw 3 bodies at you. Steve Clifford is not an idiot. Like
Right.
if he sees, one-on-one with Terry Rozier and he thinks, oh, he's gonna get overwhelmed, and he turns the corner. You don't think you'll see 3 bodies? Like, no. Like, and you just throw up that garbage for game? That isn't the way. And Chris Finn said that was immature basketball.
I'll tell you, it's even funnier because the Timberwolves are the #1 seed in the West, and they lost to the Hornets. I'm just saying. To me, that heightens the experience for this.
Yeah, that was something that, like, I can't say anything about. I can't say,
Right.
like, oh, Jaden McDaniels, for example, took 14 threes when he had 40. No, he took all of the shots that he wanted to take. He just missed them in the fourth quarter because he just started to chuck up threes. That's just, yes, you can say Chris Finch took him out when he should have, but, like, look, he tried to go for the Kobe record, and he just didn't do it because that's so impressive. It makes it more of a, I think it was the anniversary of Kobe's record, by the way.
Was it really?
Yep, I think it was.
It was. I know it was in January. I don't know when in January. If it was the exact anniversary, that would have been
I
awesome.
think it's the date of the anniversary. And you try to go for Kobe. That makes Kobe's 81 look way better because it's like he had to stay with that for all 4 quarters.
Right.
It just tough mid-range shots. He was getting covered like crazy. Tough mid-range shots.
Yeah.
For 48 straight minutes, and he got to 81. That just heightens it for me. Kobe's 81. It's just
Right.
that cat couldn't do it in the fourth quarter because he just kept chucking up threes and he didn't go in because he was tired. It heightened it for me. It gave me more respect for what Kobe did.
Right. Sorry about that. Some robot callers keeps calling me. We're on In the Vault right now. Sorry. I don't know. Anyway, I told you we'd get back to Embiid. So let's get back to Embiid when we bring up the MVP voting for this season. Should have asked the spam caller what he thought about that, but next time. They call me about 20 times a day. So, Jack, who do you think? I mean, I think it's Embiid, but who do you think
Embiid.
is
It's Embiid,
the runner?
but-
Okay,
But that,
there you go.
to me, I feel like Embiid's going to win that award. He's going to keep winning that award if he wants to. This is an award that if he wants to, he'll win it every single year. But it's about the playoffs. Like, Jokic drops 4 in the Pistons. Like, he just shows them the work. Because he has such good teammates, he just shows them the work. And in the playoffs, he goes crazy. But he's a player that, like, just shows up every single night in the regular season. And he's such a great player that if he just tries, he'll get the MVP every single year.
Could you make the argument that Embiid is probably the most unstoppable player in the league right now over Giannis or Steph?
Unstoppable. Right now in the regular season, yes.
I like that you pointed that out, by the way, in the regular season. Playoffs, not so much, but
When he gets the shot going early in the regular season, it's unguardable. Like he gets that shot from outside. He can also get a pocket pass to a mid-range jumper. Like, there's a lot of things he can do, and he can also, post you up like a regular big. Well, that's not a regular big anymore because we're in 2023.
of course,
Or
yes.
2024.
Right.
But he can post you up like a regular big. But, he just has so many tools that he can use and pull out. But,
It's true.
and it's just so hard to cover the guy because the guy can pass now. I mean, he can pass. Him and Maxey are just.
He was passing great. He had
I know.
really good passing during that
Yeah.
game.
I mean, he's found a chemistry with Tyrese Maxey that has made him so much better and made Maxey so much better. It's just a great thing to see that these two players have elevated their game together.
Well, trust the process.
Yeah.
But what do you about second place? Do you have any idea about second place? I'm just curious. Who even has a shot against Embiid right now for the MVP?
Oh, Shea. Shea's also an unguardable force. It's hard to guard him right now. You can throw a bigger defender at him, but what's a bigger defender? He's 6'5". Like, what's a bigger? Is it? Like, let's say, for example, it's Jaden McDaniels. I was thinking about it because I said it. He's probably the same height as Shea, so you're really bringing out a bigger defender. Like, you're not going to really bother him with any coverage. You can make tough jump shots, and now he's learned how to get into the line and manipulate the defense. So I just feel like there's no way to guard him right now if you have a player on your team, I mean, maybe a very good defensive player, but like he's just been able to manipulate fouls in such a way that like the Minnesota Timberwolves, best defense in the league. That's why they're number one.
Right.
In the West, they couldn't stop him. There's no way, because if you want to go over aggressive, you know he's going to manipulate you to the foul. If you sag off it and hit that mid-range jumper that he works on all night, and then the three-point shot is just there, and he's just so crafty with his handles, and the team just spreads you out offensively. That's like, can you really help off a Chet Holmgren now? Like, no,
Right.
you can't. Can you really help off a Jalen Williams? You can't. J-Dub, one of my favorite players of the season, the way he has improved.
Well, you got Embiid at 1, Shai 2.
So,
I need to know. I mean, maybe I'll give you a second if you need to think about it. Who would be your third in MVP voting?
oh, Jokic. I just don't.
Derek White?
No.
No?
Jokic.
Okay.
But Jokic, because, you know, I feel like the numbers will even out, but, like, he just had some games where he just didn't try. But they won either way, so I can't really say anything. He just didn't try. But he scored, and, I mean, he scored in some games that might even out his stats. And his field goal percentage didn't look good in the first few weeks, but now they're going to look better. And he's just Jokic. And, you know, the stats, the triple-doubles he gets, and it's kind of great to watch every single night.
I think that's a pretty good top 3 for the MVP voting at this point in the season. This is still January of 2024, so you know anything could change. But I still got my money on Derek White, by the way. So yeah, that'll. I think that's good, Harrison. What do you say? You think it was about 15 minutes or so? 15 minutes, 15 hours? I don't know. 15 seconds for us because time flies when you're having fun talking about basketball. Yeah. We're agreeing. And yeah, so I mean, Jack, great job as always. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to talk some more sports in a few minutes with In the Vault.